Hi, I'm Nabila and I'm addicted to buying sewing books. Today's video is going to be about my sewing book collection / addiction. So when I was in fashion design in college, I would rent the book for every other class except for fashion design. I would always buy the book. I'll show you today some of those books were a waste of money, to be honest. But some of these books I reference even today when I'm making my own patterns for my Etsy shop. So this video is really going to be geared towards a fashion design major. Fashion design is a very expensive major, so hopefully I can steer you in the right direction for which books are worth your money. If you are a self-taught fashion design student, some of these books I think would be for you as well, and I'll highlight the pros and cons of each book in my opinion. The first book is the one book on this list that I recommend for every fashion design major. This book is so endlessly useful. I reference it a lot when I'm starting my patterns for my business just because it has literally everything, any style you can think of. She has a lot of formulas in here. The newer version of the book has even better formulas. Basically, pattern making is body geometry, so you want a really good math book. And there's even blocks information. If you're starting your own business, blocks are really important for creating kind of a baseline for your customer. Let's say you are trying to start a business and you're trying to go into bridal, for example. This book will have examples of fit issues you might be experiencing and how to tweak your pattern to be even better. I really think that this would be worth everyone's money, no matter if you're a fashion design student or if you're just a beginner. And the knowledge you will get from this book you really could not replicate by getting it on YouTube. Okay, so this is editing Nabila, and I just realized that the newer version I was talking about is actually a completely different book. It's Patternmaking for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph-Armstrong, and this is Patternmaking Made Easy by Connie Amaden-Crawford. I have the digital version of Patternmaking for Fashion Design, and I actually recommend it way more. The two books are pretty similar, but the formulas in my digital copy are way easier to understand, and the fit corrections I was talking about are included there as well. I didn't see as thorough fit help in Patternmaking Made Easy. Sorry I just made it super confusing, but long story short, I recommend Helen Joseph-Armstrong's book way more, which I feel good about because I trashed her other book later in this video. You'll see. Okay, so these next two books, I would put them in the same kind of category, although they are different. There's Vogue Sewing, and then there's The Sewing Book. This one I would definitely recommend for anyone who's starting to learn how to sew. There's a lot of pictures and details in this book that are like fantastic when you're just trying to learn something. The section that I reference even to this day is the pocket chapter, because it's just nice to have a refresher on like how to make a welt pocket, for example. There's stuff about notions, there's information on sewing machine accessories, there's information on collars. I would recommend this for someone who might be starting their business and isn't a proficient sewer, because this really has small details that you might have trouble communicating to your factory, for example, of how you envision something to be finished. There's even a chapter about mending, which I think is awesome. If you are a fashion design student and you've been sewing for years and years and years, maybe this book would seem kind of basic to you, especially since we have YouTube as a resource and Pinterest as a resource. But I just think that this is a great book that has everything in one place. And then this Vogue Sewing, I kind of put in the same category. It is very similar, although I recommend the sewing book more than this one because the illustrations I don't think are as clear in my opinion. Honestly, I stole this book from my mom. I don't know where she got it. And I stole it because it has a measurement chart, which was very helpful in me starting my business. If you don't know, measurement charts are usually proprietary information. And so the fact that this book just had them for free, and well, I got the book for free because I stole it from my mom. I just thought that was really valuable, so I took it. But it's pretty similar. It's got simple explanations on how to do things. If you come across it at a used bookstore, I would say pick it up and see if you think it would be useful. I personally would recommend the sewing book more than Vogue Sewing. But maybe it's because I've had the sewing book longer than I've had this one. But yeah, if you're a sewing enthusiast, I would recommend both of those if you're crazy like me and just want to buy every book about sewing under the sun. Okay, so the next book is The Fashion Designer's Textile Directory. If you majored in like art or merchandising or business and you want to pivot into any fashion industry role, then I would recommend this book as just a reference because it's got pretty basic information on fabrics and like even how to care for fabrics. It is pretty basic info that I feel like you would pick up from being in the industry and being a fashion design major, since we work with different fabrics all the time. I wouldn't recommend this to most people, I think, because you can really Google all this information or put it on Pinterest. Or you could even start a collection where you, in the wild, find like a wool or a lace, just like research and write your own handbook together. Then you could like not have to buy this book, honestly. But it's got a lot of good information for like, say, a business major who actually wants to go into fashion design and you want to communicate with your factory. This has a lot of information on fabrics, what different fabrics are used for. For me, honestly, I think this was kind of a waste of money. I'm still glad I have it though, because I'm an addict. Okay, next is Tailoring Techniques for Fashion. Honestly, I would only recommend this if you are trying to get into tailoring or menswear professionally. There's a lot of good information in here. There's even like a DVD in the back, but maybe I'm just like too much of a hands-on type of person. We took a tailoring class in my fashion design program and I learned so much from that class. I didn't even open this book, to be honest. There are a lot of great pictures and things like that. Yeah, I think this would be a good book for the right kind of person. I don't think this is a book for everyone, really, because tailoring is a very specific thing. Not many people are doing it nowadays. It's almost like a lost art. Not fully lost, I don't want to be too dramatic, but it's also got like a lot of good information on like working with wool specifically, because a lot of tailoring involves like wool suits and all that. It's a good book, but I learned way more in the class than with this book. Again, I didn't open this once during my course. I just took really good notes. I was always there for presentations, things like that. And honestly, YouTube has a lot of good content for tailoring, so that's what I would recommend. I would also say if you're going into tailoring or menswear professionally, maybe work at a tailor shop and slowly work your way up and build those skills that way, rather than getting this book. I think you would really benefit from hands-on work or working with other people in the industry and seeing what they know and trying to learn from your coworkers. But again, maybe I'm just a visual learner. Maybe it'd be worth like picking this book up and looking at it and seeing for yourself if you think that it would be useful. Okay, so the next book I'm talking about is kind of like a category of books, and it's like this, like the Taschen kind of books, the coffee table books that are like fashion design. So this is 100 contemporary fashion designers. These kind of books for a fashion design major are kind of a waste of money. They might make a great gift if you know someone who's in fashion design or who loves a designer. You know, they make some of these books that are specific to one designer as well. They really are just coffee table books, and you could get this kind of information from like Pinterest. And if you want to know why a designer is famous and their legacy, you can find that information on the internet. These, like, honestly, the text is so small, it's hard to read. It's really just a flip through. That's really the point of this book. I mean, buy this type of book if you really love the designer, of course. I don't regret having this. This was actually a gift. But I would say if you are in school, spend your money on your real textbooks. Don't spend them there. Okay, and finally, I'm on to the last two books that I actually don't recommend and in my opinion are a waste of money. So, Draping textbook. So even though I love draping, I never used this book in my draping class. I always just paid attention in my lectures. I just think draping is one of those things that you need to be in class for, to learn hands-on or even learn through a YouTube video, which would be free, and this book costs money. So the other thing is, I think most people find draping way easier than pattern making. So I feel like even if you like draping more, I don't think that you would really use this book at all. It's really a skill that you have to learn hands-on, and so I don't think that this book is worth your money. I'm sure there's a lot of great information in here. I feel bad saying that since someone, worked really hard on this textbook. I feel really bad. about saying that book is a waste of money. I'm sorry. I still bought it and I'm still gonna keep it in my collection. Okay, so moving on. This book is the biggest waste of money, and I don't feel bad about saying that. And I should have known better than to buy it. So this is From Pencil to Pen Tool. And the thing is, my dad is an engineer, and I grew up with him buying books for different computer languages only for them to be outdated as soon as they got to him, because that's just the nature of technology. So this book is about using Adobe Illustrator to mock up your illustrations and all that digitally, and it's so outdated. It's incredibly outdated. But the thing is, when I was in my fashion design program, I really loved everything having to do with computers and fashion intersecting, since my mom was in fashion and my dad is in computers. But the system requirements for this book are a Windows 98 or later, just to give you an idea of how outdated it is. So yeah, I should have known better than to buy this book. I think I was the only person in my class to actually purchase this, because again, I'm a crazy person. But yeah, don't be me. Don't buy this book, please. This really was a waste of money. Oh well. Now I can save you guys. Okay, so those are my sewing book recommendations. Let me know in the comments if you have any books that you'd like me to check out or you recommend to me. I would really appreciate them since, I'm addicted. Hope you have a great day. Bye.